up, you guys? I'm Tiffany. Welcome to the Cinematic Reviewer. Today I'm reviewing Spider-Man Brand New Day. Now, I've been so excited about seeing the next Spider-Man movie. Now, I will say, I had much more hype for No Way Home, and I think we can all agree there was just more hype for No Way Home compared to Brand New Day. But not that there wasn't still massive excitement, just like one over the other. It did seem that No Way Home had the world by storm. Everyone was freaking out before the movie came out. Now, I had so much fun with this movie. I've already seen it 3 times, and today I'm going to see it 2 more times. And as of today, they have announced that Spider-Man is finally going to be in IMAX, so I am going to see it again. And I'm still going to see it in Screen X. So, at least 7 times I will see this movie at the theater. It's been so much fun. I've really enjoyed myself. Now, I will say, I have some issues with the movie. Watching it the first time, I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 right away. I was like, okay, I love so much about this movie. I have a few issues here, but this is really good. And then I kind of sat with the movie a little bit and I was like, whoa. Was I rating it too highly based on how I feel? And it's like one of those where it's like, your expectations are a certain way. So sometimes you have to be like, okay, this is what they decided to do with the movie versus what you wanted. And so the second time watching was so much better. The third time watching was just as good. So I will be sharing my review for the first time watching, the second time watching, the third time watching, and just overall some of the issues I have with the movie, but all the positives, how much fun I've had with the movie. And I will say too, I was really getting into all the fun of the promo for this movie, so I will be sharing some of the merch that I've gotten as a result of this new Spider-Man movie. And I will, of course, be talking about spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, come back to this video after you've seen it. So my first viewing of the movie, I did highlight the line, "Sorry I'm late, I've had a really crazy day." That was such a fun part. It's just like, you know, things are going, Scorpion's attacking, and then he's just swinging it, going crazy because he can't control the organic webs and everything. Oh my gosh, it was just so much fun, so much fun. I was having so much fun with this movie. I had some gripes with a few of the choices here, such as Yelena's office, but overall, it was a great movie. I thought Jean Grey was great. The mystery with her was well done, even though everyone knew she was going to be playing Jean Grey. And her possession scene with MJ was diabolical. I'll tell you guys, watching the movie, to me, it wasn't just some, not that I have to justify it because, you know, we have too much right now where everything's subverting something else and you can't have genuine, authentic moments anymore at certain times in certain movies, certain stories, all that sort of thing. But in particular, I'm like, it's such an homage to the first Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst with the kiss and everything. I mean, like, he takes it off and it's just like right there and it's like, oh my gosh, this is just like, you know, the first Spider-Man and everything, and they have their kiss. And to me, I was like, oh, this is so great because it wasn't in a true love breaks the spell. It was more in the sense of, I remember. There's a memory I have of kissing, and it's you. Like, I thought that would have been really cool. I was totally getting into it. I was like pumping my fist. I was so happy. And then I was like, oh no! Jean Grey still has the power. But I was very impressed with like the acting on Zendaya in that scene, in the scene where she finds out about Spider-Man being Peter Parker and everything. That was pretty good. Like, I was pleased because honestly, I'll be honest with you guys, I've enjoyed Zendaya since Shake It Up, you know, so I've been very happy to see her major trajectory as an actress, but I haven't really seen the results other than, I guess, Euphoria was, you know, a pretty strong role for what it was, even though it was a pretty messed up show. But it's just kind of same face, and it doesn't seem like she's actually a strong actress. So it's like, But there were so many great ways that she performed in this movie. I was very pleased. And I would say No Way Home had some good parts here, but in particular, this was a really good performance of hers. Now, speaking of remembering, and of course we already know MJ does not remember him, but Ned remembering Peter with the handshake at the very end of the movie. Oh my gosh, that was so great. That was such a great way to end the movie. But I will say a caveat for me, just in regards to the ending, like in general, I just love that thing with Ned. I thought that was so great. The caveat I have for this movie compared to a lot of the Spider-Man movies from Tom Holland, from the MCU and everything, pretty much the 3 previous movies, we get hit on a massive, great cliffhanger, and we're like, oh my gosh, what comes next? I can't wait to see what comes next. I'm so hyped to see what comes next. I don't feel like we really got a hook, this great moment to be like, oh my gosh, aren't you so ready for what comes next for Spider-Man? And it's like, I'll be watching. But I was a little disappointed that there wasn't this major hook, this major pull for us to be like, oh my gosh, we gotta see what comes next. Now, I know there are some people who would be like, who cares? But for me, I was a little like, I wanted to be, you know, like at the very end of the movie, I just wanted that proper pull to be like, oh my gosh, aren't you so ready for what comes next? But regardless, I had a really great time with this movie. Of course the government are the bad guys. Now, regarding what I said about my gripes with some of the choices here, such as Yelena's office, I'm still very mad about what they did with Yelena's office. It was just a weird scene, just very odd. I did not care for it. And then the next scene is the first scene that we get with the Department of Damage Control. I didn't much care for it, and I think a big part is that it's so like, oh, the Department of Damage Control, we are here to do the right thing. We care, we're so good, and we're gonna be so nice to Spider-Man, and I just didn't buy it for a second. But even more than just I didn't buy it, I didn't like it. I just was not enjoying myself with that part. I was like, I don't really care for this. Those 2 scenes back to back kind of put a damper on things the first time I watched the movie, so I was like, okay, I'm loving this, but there are some things I have issues with. Now, there's more issues than just these 2 scenes, but primarily it was like, okay, everything else is great. Those 2 scenes really didn't work for me, but otherwise I was having such a great time. But again, of course the government are the bad guys. Like, what are we doing here, guys? As if we're gonna be like, oh, government, aren't you so great? So kind of regarding what I'm saying, expectations versus what the movie actually gave. And for the first time I watched it, I just had higher expectations for the movie than what we got, but I did still think it was great and a crowd pleaser. And I very much like this guy who directed this movie. The directing was far superior to the Home trilogy, and the fight choreography was great as well. So I will say the one thing that I really appreciated about my first time watching the movie, now I saw it the first day it came out, the first showing that they had to see it in Dolby. So fully packed theater, everything was good there. I did experience some cheering, some clapping. I participated too, but primarily the moments were for the Hulk, the reveal of Jean Grey, the moment with MJ, everything that happened there. Everyone was like, whoa, like what all was going on there that you thought it was MJ, but no, it wasn't. It was Jean Grey the whole time. I was like, whoa. I can't remember if at the very end of the movie if we clapped, but I just know that at the very, very end, after all the credits, then getting the post-credit scene, at first it seemed like we weren't getting anything, and then it was me and several people around. We just had a certain exhale of just being like, really? That's it? It was just a little bit of a disappointing post-credit scene. I was just like, couldn't we have a little bit of fun with it? But regardless, it kind of fits into what I'm saying, that I kind of wish there was this ultimate pull, this ultimate hook to get you excited for what comes next with Spider-Man. Again, I will be there. I will be seated. But it was just one of those of like, you have the opportunity, and then they just didn't do it. So again, not that it's some super issue, but would have been nice. So the second viewing of the movie, the quote I had was, at what cost depends on your deductible. I enjoyed this movie so much more the second time I watched it than the first time. Now that I saw it, I got the proper look at what they wanted to do with the movie versus what I was hoping they would do with the movie. I now can see Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I still have my qualms about him, but he did a great job here. So kind of to expand on what I'm talking about, in the movies, anytime I would watch them, I felt that Tobey Maguire was Spider-Man. In the Andrew Garfield movies, they're very messy movies. They're pretty rough movies. I don't know that I would watch them again, but I felt that Andrew Garfield was Spider-Man. Pretty much all the Tom Holland movies, I've never felt that he was Spider-Man. I felt like they told us he was Spider-Man, but I never felt like he was Spider-Man. I think also what was so great about it, and I do kind of touch on this later, I will be touching on this later in the video, but I don't like how techy MCU Spider-Man is. It's good when he just has the suit, you know? But it has to be all digitized and everything, and he has to have an artificial companion, a voice talking to him. That was the one thing that had me so happy about No Way Home. We didn't really get the other voice companion. We still had techie suits, and that's why it was so great in this movie that we just have the suit, and the suit looks great, it looks really good, and just like this really cool quality to the movie with the way it was, I don't know if color grading is quite the word, but whatever that really high quality effect to it that this movie had that's very similar and reminiscent of the Amazing Spider-Man movies, I thought that was really cool. Again, I don't know specifically what effect, what specific tool that they did to make this movie look that way, but I thought that was a really cool choice, and it made the suit pop even more. So I really appreciate that as well. I loved Frank Castle's and Spider-Man's dynamic. I really need to check out The Punisher. Now, the first time I watched this movie, I definitely dug this song, and I finally was like, okay, let me just write it down and, you know, actually make sure I check it out on the soundtrack. And so it's Loser by Tame Impala, if that's how you pronounce the band name. But that song, it's a really good song on its own. Like, if it was just a song I heard out and about, I would dig the song and want to add it to my playlist. But in particular, it fits so well with the story we're getting with Spider-Man, with Peter Parker, that he's feeling somber, he's feeling lonely, he is struggling. Even though things are going well in other aspects, he is struggling very hard. And it worked so well because it's the party scene where Ned and MJ are there, and he can interact with them, but it will never be the same as it used to be when they actually knew him and had all this history. It was just such a good music choice. I really, really appreciated it. Now, for my second viewing, I had already done my ranking list on Letterboxd. I basically went ahead and put all the Spider-Man movies and ranked them. So I think now that I've seen Spider-Man Brand New Day 3 times now, I may actually change the ranking for Brand New Day, but this is originally what I had for the Tom Holland movies. So from best to worst, I have No Way Home, Far From Home, Brand New Day, and Homecoming. Homecoming at the very, very bottom. I hate that movie. I really don't like that movie, but No Way Home, Far From Home, Brand New Day, those are all positive rankings and everything. And I would say, after I was done watching Spider-Man Brand New Day for the opening weekend 3 times, I was like, oh yeah, let me go ahead and watch Far From Home again. I've really enjoyed Far From Home. I tried to watch it, and I'm like, I just want to be watching Brand New Day. So I might switch it with Far From Home instead of being second place to Brand New Day would be second place. But regardless, all fun movies, and like, I did just want to touch on why I enjoy Far From Home. It actually got me to appreciate Tom Holland as Spider-Man, or I guess more Peter Parker than Spider-Man, but regardless, that character, him as the character, Far From Home kind of had me like, okay, you know what, he's cool, he's chill. I don't like him as much as, you know, my go-to, my number one, Tobey Maguire, and I still feel that Andrew Garfield did a good job as Spider-Man, maybe not quite as Peter Parker, but regardless, those two I felt more that proper vibe of, and then Tom Holland's been so hard to get into. But again, Far From Home kind of convinced me, you know what, he's chill. So also, obviously with Far From Home, we got that ultimate great cliffhanger. You can't have No Way Home if you don't have Far From Home. But again, as I tried to rewatch Far From Home, I couldn't do it. So I probably will be watching it again, but right now I'm just like, I'm in my Brand New Day era. I just want to keep watching Brand New Day, but it's been so much fun. So as I'm touching on, Yelena's office and the first scene of the Department of Damage Control, those are really the scenes that I really can't stand from this movie. Like, if you omit them, not literally because they do have a purpose to being in the movie, I just didn't like how they were done. They just really didn't work for me. They really grinded my gears, did not have me pleased. I just thought they were odd. They just did not work for me. And so because it was my second time viewing, and I'd already seen the movie all the way through the first time viewing, I did use it as a pee break. I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to skip this part. I'm just going to come back to the theater and everything. And you know what? That's also part of why the second viewing worked so well. I was just like, I didn't deal with those two scenes that I really didn't like for the movie. But regardless, it's just such a good, fun movie. I really, really enjoy it. So one thing that I have not seen many people talk about is the fact that we have that guy. He's like in the, not construction, but like a street service worker, where he has like the reflective gear on and everything, and so Jean Grey is speaking through him, so she's possessing him and everything, and so she does this, you know? And so then he gets hit. He gets hit by a car. I am still so salty that like there's like no reaction. You don't really see the people on the street react. You don't see Spider-Man react. Like, literally a guy got hit. You should care a little bit, but instead, nope, it's Jean Grey is going off to get to MJ. We gotta follow her as she's going from body to body. And again, I just wish it was a little acknowledged. I'm not saying let's spend 5 minutes here concerned about this guy, but just a little bit of a reaction would be good. Because if you're going to treat it the same way this movie treated that part, you could have just had, he's in the middle of the road, possessed by Jean Grey, and then he gets out of the way. It would still fit. Now, to give a little bit of credit to that part, it kind of shows that she means business. She wants Spider-Man out of her way, so she is kind of like, all right, you gotta know that I'm not kidding when I say, you know, things are gonna go down. But it's still one of those of like, there should have been much more care. I wish the scene could have been executed a bit better. All right, getting into my third viewing of the movie. The quote I chose for this one is, "Whoa, this guy's got issues." This movie is so good. It's very funny. Like the part I just mentioned, like that's a really good line, and the way that the actor for Frank Castle says it is so fun. I just have so much fun and enjoyment with this movie. It's just such a great time. The score works so well. Now I will say, the soundtrack less so. For example, the part where Peter is first figuring out the organic webs and he's kind of out of control. That song, I hate that song. I do not like that song. It feels very twitchy, very gimmicky. I don't know. It just had this sort of spazzy energy that I didn't dig. I prefer grounded stories, and that's another gripe I have with typically the Tom Holland movies, where he's just so youthful and silly. And I myself am a very silly person, a very excitable person, but sometimes I just want to watch a grounded story. And again, this movie is a much more grown-up Spider-Man, but it still kind of fits into that. So that song in particular, I was like, oh my gosh, I do not like this. I do not like this part. I just did not care for it. Apparently a good number of people, I have seen some people talk about the song, apparently they really liked it, and I'm like, I do not agree. I do not like that song at all. So overall, for the music choices, the score, you know, the proper atmosphere to the movie works really well. The soundtrack that kind of has certain parts, other than Loser by Tame Impala, other than that, a lot of the soundtrack just doesn't work for me. And like I said, I kind of pinpointed specifically the song that really doesn't work for me. Now, I've been feeling this way, particularly the 2 times I've seen it. So the second and third time I watched it versus the first time, I was kind of like, it would have been kind of nice if it kind of worked out for them. for her to remember him. But MJ still not remembering Peter is a really good choice to keep the consequences of No Way Home. Tom Holland's Spider-Man cannot be happy-go-lucky anymore. He does have stakes he has to deal with. He does have these consequences he has to deal with. It's not all wrapped up in a bow, happily ever after. He still has, I guess you could call it the burden or the curse of Spider-Man that he's, I know some people describe it as like he's miserable. I mean, he doesn't seem that miserable, but he does struggle a lot, you know. And when I say he's not miserable, I'm specifically talking about the Tom Holland movies. It just seems that there are plenty of times where he still is able to enjoy himself a bit. Peter's tenderness with MJ and his ruthlessness with the biting remark to Jean Grey, like I said, you're not getting near her. Oh my gosh, that was so good. Like, I'm just like, oh my gosh, now that is a man right there. Like, he just goes so well. It's just such a strong moment, and it's just one of these where, now I've seen a few conversations where some people are like, he's just not the best Spider-Man, which I agree with. I don't think Tom Holland is the best, but they kind of give a caveat that they're not opposed to Tom Holland. I'm not in that same boat. I just, not in a, oh, I can't stand this guy, I hate this guy or anything like that, but just, I haven't been impressed. I still feel like he's a very youthful guy, and maybe time will come to pass where he can be a little bit more grown up. I will say, in particular, the scenes I really liked is when the suit is fully on. We don't see his face. Like at the very end, the really cool fight scene at the very end of the movie with the hand and everything, and he takes it off. I'm just like, I guess it's just the money shot, and we have to have him, you know, we have to see him and everything. And I'm just like, just stay Spider-Man. I don't really want to see Tom Holland. But again, that's my own personal gripe. I'm just less about him, his face. The reason I bring that up is the point is that I don't quite get why this worked out so well with Tom Holland and Zendaya. I know that they have a lot of fun, as we see in like interviews and everything. They do seem to really appreciate each other. I just never really got like, why is she so about it? I will say, like, that really cool paparazzi moment where he kind of takes charge and protects her and everything. You could see how happy Zendaya is. And again, this is the real world situations. And then in this movie, he's so soft with her. He's so gentle with her. And that part where he's like whispering to her, like, oh, you're okay, you're okay. Oh, it's so good. It is so good. It's such great moments, and exactly why, like, some of those romantic moments that happen in movies, it just works so well. TV shows too. But the point is, like, just that tenderness was so good. And then we get that ruthlessness of, like, where, you know, he's like, you went too far, or like, he's just very, like, he's gonna protect MJ, and that is just such a great moment that you just witness that he's like, oh, he will do what he has to do for her. And I think that was just very well done. So many props to Tom Holland. I now kind of see the vision more so, but again, why did it take us 10 years to really get this really awesome deal with Spider-Man, with Peter Parker, with this version of his character? I think it took too long, but regardless, it's still great that it's happening. I really liked Ned in this movie. I will say, I haven't always been very pro Ned. Like, he can be funny. I just haven't really enjoyed his character. And I could have sworn that some people were talking about, like, originally it should have been Harry, not Ned, as, like, the best friend character for Spider-Man. I can't say, I haven't read the comics, but I know in general that Ned is a character in the comics and that he is the Hobgoblin, so I don't know where we're gonna go in the MCU and everything, but regardless, Ned hasn't always been my guy. I haven't been, like, so totally down with him, even though I think some of the dynamic between Peter and Ned has been good in the other movies. But in particular, he was really, really good here, and I kind of had a loss at certain parts where he wasn't in the movie. I'm like, oh my gosh, he was so good. I wanted to see more scenes with him. Like, in particular, one of my favorite moments from this movie is when MJ is like, oh, come on up, talk to Ned and everything, you know, bond and everything. And so the part where it's like, all right, then keep your secrets. And then they just do that whole thing together. Oh, it's so good. It's so sweet. It's so genuine and nice. And then, of course, then MJ sketching them and everything, sketching that moment. Oh, I'm telling you, there's so many great, awesome moments here. Again, some things could be better, but there's so many amazing, awesome moments that there's a reason I keep going to the theater for this movie, because I have so much fun with it. So those are my reactions that I posted for my first, second, and third viewing of the movie. Now I will get into a little bit of the cons and the pros specifically I had for this movie. So with the gripes for the movie, Yelena's office. It was such a weird scene. Like, okay, strip your clothes so that you know that weapons are not on this person, that they don't have a wire or anything. Movies do that all the time. But actually being in the pool was strange at best. There could have been a better option. And I would say when we first get there, when he goes there and we just see this blonde head, you know, from the back, and it says, take off your clothes. I was like, oh my gosh, did he accidentally go somewhere he's not supposed to? Is this not where he's supposed to go? And then it turns out it's Yelena. It did seem like it was getting a little bit into some adult territory, which I was not down with. And in a way, they kind of did that in Far From Home. That is a part I did not like either. So they have kind of towed the line in this territory before. I don't appreciate it. I don't find it funny. I really don't like it. So that's why it's one of my primary moments that I really don't like from this movie. Another issue I kind of have with the movie is it sticks with Ned and MJ. There are a lot of parts that I am okay with, but other parts, they're a little irritable. Like, I remember when No Way Home came out and everyone was so excited that it seems like we're finally getting real Spider-Man and everything, that then it was revealed that they were going to come in for the next movie. They were already cast to be in the next movie, and everyone was like, no, this is undermining all the progress we had just done, which I would say I don't disagree with. So I think they still did a really good job. Like I said, I enjoyed a lot with MJ. I enjoyed a lot with Ned in the movie. It would have been kind of interesting to have more of like a Tobey Maguire-esque thing where it's like so much is brand new to him, but it's still primarily good. It's just some parts I'm like, we didn't have to have them, but it still works fine. As I kind of touched on earlier, that MCU Spider-Man has all this tech. Evie made the sensory overload scene worse. That was a really, really good, fun scene, and there's a lot of parts in that scene where we could just see what it would have been like without a voice. I don't know, it's not specifically that second screen syndrome of like talking at us, but it was a little like, we can see that his senses are overloaded. You didn't need to tell us. Like, I just thought it was a good scene in general, and then I just keep hearing the little grating electronic voice, and I'm like, no. Again, it's still a great scene, but I just don't much care for it. Now, I will add a caveat, not specifically to this scene, but just Evie's existence in the movie in general. In some ways, you could give the proper argument that, well, he is primarily alone. He does talk with DeWolf a lot, but primarily that's basically the only person he talks to. So it kind of works for him to have a little bit still some socialization with this artificial voice. I still don't agree with it. It just kind of feels too much of we're still getting Tony Stark and Jarvis type, which for that character, that works, and it doesn't work with Spider-Man. I just don't dig it. I don't like it. I don't like it. I wish we avoided that. That's the one thing that I really appreciate from No Way Home. Not so tech in the suit in this movie, but we still have the tech artificial voice. And then in No Way Home, we still had the techie suit, but we didn't have an artificial voice, which I appreciated. As I kind of talked about, The ending and the post-credit scene just really did not hype me up for what was coming next for Spider-Man, and I really wish we did get that proper hook to get us intrigued about what was coming next. Something to really get us excited about, like, okay, this is coming into play next. And that would be pretty interesting. And the thing, too, that's kind of whatever about the post-credit scene is he's in space. As if he already wasn't in space for Infinity War. So it's not even something new that this version of the character has done. Again, we will see what comes next. I will be watching the next Spider-Man. But I still just feel like, man, it just would have been so great if we had something to really convince us and really hook us in for what they were going to do next with the character. So now moving on to some of the pros that I haven't touched on yet. The number of villains in the trailer are present in the movie, but the minor ones are in the background. It doesn't feel like the other Spider-Man movies that had overstuffed itself with villains. I thought that was a good choice, like it worked really well. And I will say, I liked the actor for Scorpion. I kind of would have wanted to see more from him, but it works. It works with it being that we have our primary antagonist, our primary villain with Jean Grey, and then we have some of the villains or antagonists that we had in the trailer come into play in certain scenes. That way it's not so overstuffed that it's like, oh no, it's another Spider-Man 3, it's another The Amazing Spider-Man 2. So I think they were able to kind of avoid the curse of too many villains. They were able to make it so it wasn't this full-on thing that just made it so overloaded. As I said, the softness Peter had with MJ, that is a man right there. I just love that so much. Another thing I touched on, the great suits. I am so glad it's not CGI anymore. I hate so much of the tech stuff. That's not why I watch Spider-Man. You know, I myself can dig a tech-like character. As you can see right, oh, wait, finger. Okay, there it is. I love Tony Stark, but again, Spider-Man's not Tony Stark, so let's not have it be so tech-based. Tom Holland in his Joe Pesci era, that part where, you know, like that girl's like, hey, we live on the same floor, and he's like, oh, I'm just like, oh my gosh. He's so fun with that, with the cap and everything. I thought that was really great. I really liked that. I really liked DeWolf and Spider-Man's relationship. The moment when he's struggling so hard with the arachnid DNA going so hard with him, and he's kind of, he's struggling, he's holding his head, and she's right there with him. Like, in a way, she is consoling him, and another way, she is kind of being like, hey, you gotta get it together, man. But so good, so good. I had so much fun with it. It was kind of nice that it's like the cops don't hate Spider-Man compared to the rough stuff that Spider-Man had to deal with in like the Tobey Maguire movies. But regardless, this is just so good, so fun. I'm really glad everything that has happened in this movie, there's just so much to love about it. I just feel like the beginning of this movie was so good. Like, I'm smiling up a storm. I'm having so much fun. I myself, like I said, have not read the comics, but I did think that was a really cool thing that those shots are from covers of certain editions of the comic book. I thought that was really cool. I just feel like the ending, I think it's good. But since I watched it 3 times at the theater back to back, I'm kind of like, I could skip this X-Men stuff, but I still really like it. I actually kind of disagree with some people that are like, oh, this is such a bad choice for them to bring in the X-Men into the Spider-Man movie. In some ways, I can acknowledge that. I will say, I think they do a good job with it. Sadie Sink does a great job, and I think it's probably a pretty good corporate decision because the MCU has struggled so much with these Disney Plus shows, and also a lot of the Marvel movies that have come out since Avengers Endgame, that they have tried to bring up the X-Men a couple times in these Disney Plus shows, and it's either no one's watched it or the people who have watched it aren't really digging it. And so it is a way to be like, okay, everyone's going to watch Spider-Man. How about we bring our iteration of the X-Men into this movie. So I think it was probably a pretty good decision for them to do. Maybe it wasn't the best choice based on the reaction people have, but I don't think it was a bad choice for... I understand precisely why the corporate decision would be, hey, how about we put the X-Men into this, getting a younger generation into this, because we have the Fox actors for the X-Men characters, and they really haven't touched on what actors will play which characters to be a little bit younger, so I think it was a good call. I will say, because I watched it 3 times at the theater back to back, it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it was a little like, the third time I was going in, I was like, oh my gosh, I love this movie so much. And then I'm like, I'm not really ready to see the X-Men end thing happen. The final battle and everything. And I'm like, oh, am I gonna be able to tolerate it? And you know what? The pacing is good. It does work with the story. It can be a lot to watch for the third time, but I still totally dug it and really enjoyed myself. So it's just a very good movie, a very rewatchable movie. And I will say, I've seen a good number of people that it's a little bit of a toss-up for some people. Some people absolutely love this movie. Some people really don't like this movie. Like, I saw some people give it like a 5 out of 10. I don't agree with that. But I think they kind of need to give it another chance. I'll be honest, I do think you need to give it another chance. I think there's so much after almost a full 5 years of the last Spider-Man movie. We had so much to theorize of what they were gonna do. So many high expectations of what was coming next that it is kind of hard to meet those expectations. But I still think it was a really good crowd pleaser. It still worked very well. Some things could have been better, but there's a lot here that's really good. So I think if you go into this movie, you'll watch it the first time and you're like, huh, there are things about this I really didn't like. I do recommend you give it another chance because I felt the same way the first time I watched it. Even though I loved it, I really, really liked it, I still had some issues with it. And now I'm more kind of like, okay, they're a little annoying, but like, it's still a great movie, and there's just so much fun here. So like I said, I did get into the promo of this movie, so I did do the Little Caesars moments. So besides the fact that the pizza tasted really good, it's the Weberoni. You could still get it if you want, but I thought it was really cool. So in anticipation for the movie, they had special pizza boxes and posters, so I will be sharing that, and I also will be sharing the pin I have gotten for seeing Spider-Man on Spider-Man Day on August 1st. So here is the cute little pin. As you can see, very, very fun. And then here is one of the posters. I really like the matte glossy aspect to it. I think it is really cool, very fun. And here is one of the other posters. Again, such fun to this. I really, really appreciate that they did this. Here you have one for the pizza box, and then here you have the other one. So like I've said, I've had so much fun with this movie, so much fun with the promo for it. I am going to be getting myself a Spider-Man shirt. I very much enjoyed Spider-Man. I just have never gotten a shirt, so I'm finally gonna get a shirt. I'm very happy about getting that. And I am considering, now that I've seen this movie 3 times, after today, I will have seen it 5 times. I'm going to see it again, and then I'm going to see it again. At least 7 times I'll see this movie. I am considering getting one of the posters for the movie, like the full-size poster type deal. So I just really, really dig this movie. I have a lot of enjoyment with it. Like I said, I still have my qualms about the movie. There are still issues I have with the movie, but primarily so much fun. I really, really enjoy it. I definitely have this as one of my ultimate favorites of the year. I think it is definitely the movie I've watched the most times in a theater ever. I have never had A-list before this year, so usually it would be if I watch something more than once. I only got to see it twice, but oh my gosh, this is such a fun movie. It's so, so good. So on the off chance that you have not seen the movie and you decided to watch this full-length review, please go watch the movie. It's very good, very fun. I do think it's fun to go to see it in the theater. That was one thing I did want to touch on. So my first theater experience, a lot of cheering, a lot of clapping, a lot of reactions. Not as much as something like No Way Home or anything like that, but it was still, you still had that proper reaction. And then the second time I went to see it, there was a lot of reaction as well. But the third time I saw it, barely at all. There was a little bit, but barely at all. But, you know, it's fine. Not everyone's going to be cheering. And I will say, I had some pretty odd times for when I went. My first showing was 12 p.m. on a weekday. My next showing was 10:20 p.m. on a Friday. And then I went for my third viewing of 9 a.m. on a Saturday. So, you know, I think it's 9 a.m. Not everyone's like, woo! Which I can understand. Regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, comment below. And if you liked this video and would like to see more movie content, be sure to hit that subscribe button. See you guys next time. Bye!